Good evening, folks. Ken Hovind here and the crew at Dinosaur Adventureland in lovely Lenox, Alabama. Was it really 100 degrees today? I was down in Pensacola. It didn't get that hot up here, did it?
It was actually it was shady all day.
Shady all day, yeah. Welcome to Dinosaur Adventureland. We believe the Bible is literally true and scientifically accurate. God made everything in 6 days, just like he said in Exodus 20:11 and Exodus 31:17. And we believe dinosaurs always lived with man. They just had different names for them, calling them dragons or some such name, depending on their culture. We believe the evolution theory being taught in our schools illegally at taxpayer expense is the dumbest and most dangerous religion in the history of the world. And that usually pokes their button and gets them started, which is what we're trying to do. Okay, help you out. Visitors, let's see, Jonathan and Bethany from Houston, are they, maybe they don't know about Bible study tonight. They're staying in cabin 6, I believe.
Weren't they here last night?
No, they moved to...
They moved to cabin 2?
Yeah.
Oh, good, okay. Come on down, visit. Columbus Day, October 12th is going to be, I had a flyer here, going to be a great time at Dinosaur Adventureland. Free lunch, all kinds of stuff to do around here. We have a total of 12 cabins you can come stay in, or 20 motorhome hookups. Come stay for Bible study, 7:30, and then watch the stars. Jonathan and his kids and I and wife went out last night and watched the stars. Incredible on the sand dune up there. Okay, neat ideas for Dinosaur Adventureland van. Dinosaurs headed toward Noah's Ark is kind of what we would like to do. Is this Tom coming in here, brother?
Yeah, hey, brother.
How long a drive is it from Texas?
I don't know, it's 18 hours including my nap.
18 hours including the nap. Okay. Welcome to back.
60 miles an hour.
Wait till you see all. How long you been here?
An hour.
Okay, so you haven't seen all the improvements around here yet.
No.
Oh, we'll take you around tomorrow, brother. We've been working while you've been gone. Welcome back. If you have any ideas for our van, we want to dress up the Dinosaur Adventureland van. A guy was at Lowe's about an hour ago, 2 hours ago in Pensacola. And a guy pulled into the parking lot and he saw the license plate on our van that says Dr. Dino. And did he come up and talk to you or talk to you? He came rushing into Lowe's lumberyard and walked up to me at the cat. Man, Brother Hovind, so I don't know who the guy was from Adam, but he saw our videotapes and all excited to see us, wasn't he? It's great. So we want to make it where everybody sees that van knows that's from Dinosaur Adventureland. So I just Googled some wrap. This is not our van, by the way. Wildflower, some wraps. We want to make it really like, oh, wow, you got to go see that place. The Museum of Houston, Natural Science, where they teach evolution. Something like that's pretty cool. Dinosaur on the side of the... Here's a bunch of dinosaurs headed toward Noah's Ark, along with Noah and all the other critters. Now, that's the kind of theme I think I want. Big, long line of critters, including dinosaurs, babies of everything, headed toward the Ark. Yeah, on the side of the van. Back of the van, here's the sizes of it. It's a 2012 GMC. You can look that up. It's the extended version. Got the extra 18 or 20 inches in there. 9-passenger. So that's what we're trying to make look other than just plain old white. Let's see, there's the Dr. Dino license plate that he saw. Said, oh, wow, got to go see that guy. All right. We're going to be starting, continuing, I guess, talking about the age of the earth. What does the Bible say? What does science really say? How old is this place? How old is the universe? Now, I know you atheists are going to go nuts over this because taking away time is like pulling a pacifier out of your mouth. I understand. Believe me, I understand. But you just simply can't have time. There isn't billions of years for your imagination of evolution to take place. You and SpongeBob need to get a new job, okay? It didn't happen. Can't happen. So we're going to talk tonight about the Redshift. What on earth is a Redshift? Well, it's interesting. This is one of the key things they use to prove the stars are billions of light years away and they're moving away from us. And I think you'll be shocked at what you see, the real truth about the Redshift. Back in 1814, Fraunhofer rediscovered the line. Somebody else had discovered these lines when you look at a star through a prism, a spectroscope that breaks the light up, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet. He looked at it, he said, wow, there's little black lines in there. Something is absorbing that color. Something between me and the star is absorbing this particular little bitty slice of, orange or pink or red or whatever. So these are called absorption lines where it just turns black for a second. So that particular wavelength is not getting through to the spectroscope. The spectrum shows dark absorption lines first seen by Fraunhofer. These lines can be used to identify the chemical elements in the distant stars. So they can say, oh, this line here indicates that is hydrogen or helium or something like that. But they also tell us the radial velocity. Really? Those little black lines are what they're calling, and I'll show you the redshift. They're telling us the radial velocity, how fast that star is moving away. Oh, really? We shall see. An absorption line will appear in a spectrum if an absorbing material is placed between a source and the observer. This material could be the outer layers of a star. It could be a cloud of interstellar gas or a cloud of dust. Absorption lines are usually seen as dark lines or lines of reduced intensity on a continuous spectrum, called the red shift, we'll get to in a second. The displacement of spectral lines toward longer wavelengths, the red end of the spectrum, is radiation from distant galaxies and celestial objects. This is interpreted as a Doppler shift that is proportional to the velocity. Doppler, what is that? Well, some guy named Doppler got it named after him. If you ever sit by a train track and hear the train coming toward you, it squeezes the sound waves together. And when it leaves you, it stretches the sound waves out. And the sound goes, how many have ever seen or heard that before? That's called the Doppler effect with sound. It can work if you're moving toward the sound or the sound is moving toward you. It doesn't matter. The sound waves are compressed if you're getting closer and stretched or refracted if you're leaving. So it's gone, okay? They're thinking, maybe this works with light. I think it probably does. We'll get into that in a second. So this is interpreted as a Doppler shift that is proportional to the velocity of recession. So in other words, how much it is shifted tells you how fast it's going away from you. And that would probably be true with a jet engine coming by. If you heard an airplane, you know, it would change pitch as it goes. The faster it's moving, the more pitch change there would be. I agree. So this whole internet is full of stuff about the red shift, if you want to get more on that. In physics, a redshift is a phenomenon where electromagnetic radiation from an object undergoes an increase in wavelength. It is stretched out. Wavelength is longer, okay? Hence a different color. Redshift is a key concept for astronomers. The term can be understood literally, the wavelength of the light is stretched. I'm belaboring the point for a reason here, okay? Something similar happens to sound waves when a source of sound moves relative to an observer. I agree. Clocks, Gravity, and the Limits of Relativity article put up just a few months ago in Earth Sky magazine about the red shift. Oh, okay. What is red shift? By Christopher Crockett. Astronomers use red shifts to track the rotation of our galaxy. They tease out of the subtle tug of a distant star and measure the expansion rate of the universe. In the 1910s, astronomers at Lowell Observatory and elsewhere noticed the light from nearly every galaxy was redshifted. Hold it. They look at all the galaxies, almost all of them, and the light seems to be shifted toward the red. That would indicate the galaxy is moving away. I could have told them that by reading my Bible. But that's what they noticed. For some reason, most galaxies in the universe were racing away from us. Who'd have thunk it? In 1929, American astronomer Edwin Hubble matched up these redshifts with distance estimates to these galaxies and uncovered something remarkable. The farther away a galaxy, the faster it's receding. Whoa, wait a minute. Galaxies are moving, the further away they are, the faster they're going. Are they picking up speed somehow? Does anybody know anything about physics? You can't just pick up speed without adding energy. Don't you have to, in your car, push harder on the gas pedal, burn more fuel to get it to go faster? Force equals mass times acceleration. We'll get into that in a minute. The Bible says in Isaiah chapter 40, "It is he that sitteth upon the circle of the earth, and the inhabitants thereof as grasshoppers, that stretcheth out the heavens." Here God is claiming he stretched out the heavens. He sitteth on the circle of the earth, he stretcheth out. There are 17 times in the Bible where it says God stretched out the heavens. So everybody's asking the question, well, Hovind, if the earth is only 6,000 years old, by the way, it's not only 6,000 is a long time, okay? It's hard to think about, Abe Lincoln 150 years ago, or Columbus 500 years ago. 6,000? Long time. 12 billion? Insane. Doesn't exist, okay? They're asking, well, how did the light from the star get here in only 6,000 years? They're asking the wrong question. The Bible says God created the earth, and then he made the stars, and then he stretched them out into place. 17 times it says he stretched them, so I think he's meaning to help us get a message. He stretched them. So really the question is, how did the star get from here to there? Not how did the light get from the star to here. He stretched out the north over the empty place. So nearly 50 million students are in public school in America, and they're being brainwashed into thinking the Big Bang is part of science. And they're using the Redshift as one of the main examples of evidence for the Big Bang. The first law of thermodynamics, thermo means heat like a thermometer, dynamics means power like dynamite, says matter and or energy cannot be created or destroyed. The first law of thermodynamics states that heat is a form of energy. Thermodynamic processes are therefore subject to the principle of conservation of energy. This means that heat energy cannot be created or destroyed. Okay? If energy can't be created or destroyed, how can the galaxy be speeding up? They say the galaxies are moving faster the further away you get. Where's this energy coming from, guys? Newton's second law of motion describes the relationship between an object's mass and the force needed to move it. Force equals mass times acceleration. This is certainly the most familiar equation in all of physics. Perhaps it is the most important. I agree. You take the mass and the acceleration multiplied equals the force. All dragster drivers know that. Brother, on your Harley, you know that. If you want to get more acceleration, you have to decrease the mass or else add more force. If your engine's only capable of putting out a certain amount of horsepower and you want to go faster, then you got to get rid of some weight. Take off some mass, because the mass times the acceleration equals the force, always. So the formula cannot be broken. If you're going to increase acceleration, you got to decrease the mass or add more force. Put another piston on that engine. Get some new kind of fuel, right? So how can galaxies be speeding up? Where's this new energy coming from? The relationship between the mass and the amount of force needed to accelerate it. I agree. I taught physics for 15 years. I think I understand that fairly well. In 1829, they noticed a redshift with distance estimates to these galaxies and said the farther away they are, the faster it's going. Where did it pick up this extra speed? Think about it for a couple of minutes here. How are galaxies moving away faster than light? Physics.org. How can galaxies move faster than the speed of light? How are galaxies moving away faster than light? Galaxies moving faster than light? There's a bunch of stuff on the internet about this. They're telling the kids the galaxies are moving away faster than the speed of light. Some of them, which makes you wonder, how can we see them? I mean, stop and think about it. Bible says God stretched out the heavens. He stretched out the heavens. Isaiah 42, Isaiah 45, he stretched out the heavens. Whole bunch of verses about this. I think he's trying to get a message across. He stretched out the heavens. So when light goes through a prism, a triangle-shaped piece of glass, it breaks it up into the colors: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. You can call it a spectroscope, and it makes the spectrum. Well, these lines, these black lines on here that are absorbing some absorbing material, if they're shifted toward the red shift, these lines are shifted over toward the red. They say, oh, that proves the object is moving away, like the train coming in. As it comes in, it squeezes the waves, and as it leaves, it refracts them, stretches them out as it leaves, okay? They say light does the same thing. Probably true. Obviously, hearing a Doppler as the train approaches does not tell me how long the train's been traveling. It only tells me that it's moving now, right? Would a train give a Doppler effect, squeezing the sound waves and then stretching them out, if the train had started down the track just 2 miles? How about if it started 200 miles down the track? Can I tell how far away it started just by the Doppler effect? Absolutely not. And you can't tell how far away the stars are by the Doppler effect either. So it's true, there seems to be a stretching of the waves, and there seems to be a red shift. If it's a blue shift, then they'd say, oh, this thing is coming toward us. And it's extremely rare to see a blue shift in galaxies. They all seem to be giving a red shift. Andromeda Galaxy is moving toward our own Milky Way. There does seem to be one galaxy moving toward us. Now, one option is the galaxy is spinning so one side would be moving toward us. It's within our local group. Thus, when observed from Earth, the light is undergoing a blue shift. Nearby stars, such as Barnard's star, are moving toward us, resulting in a very small blue shift. So, now think for a minute. They're telling us it all came from a Big Bang, right? Everything was squeezed in a dot, smaller than a period on a page. Actually, a billion times smaller than a proton. That's tiny. And it was a one-dimensional dot. Somebody please explain that to me. What on earth is a one-dimensional dot? Here's my theory. I think there's got to be some of Satan's demons someplace who are sitting around in a smoke-filled room. They're having competition. Who can get people to believe the dumbest thing? One of them says, hey, you watch. I'll get them to believe they came from a rock. They'll say, you can't make people believe that. You watch. I'll get them to believe they came from a rock. Later on, they're all laughing about the people believing it. And one of them says, hey, I'll get them to believe they came from a dot smaller than a period on a page. No way, you'll never get them to believe that. You watch. And they're laughing and laughing that otherwise intelligent people believe it. One of them one time said, I'm going to get those people to believe that T-Rex turned into a chicken. No way, you'll never get them to believe something that stupid. They did, didn't they? It's got to be some kind of competition among the demons who can tell the dumbest story and get people to believe it. Yeah, right. There's 57 genders too. Yeah, okay. Okay. And a cow turned to a whale. Yeah. Or the whale turned to the cow. Actually, they came out on the land and then went back into the water. Right. The stories are laughable if they weren't so serious, and the consequences weren't so serious. That's another story. The dangers of evolution. So they're saying it all started with a Big Bang. Now hold on. Every second after the Big Bang, the particles would be getting further apart, wouldn't they? And moving slower. How on earth are they going to pick up speed after the Big Bang? Somebody's laughing at you for believing that stupid idea that they thought up in that smoke-filled room someplace, okay? By the way, the distance between these particles is going to get greater, isn't it? Isn't that common geometry, 7th grade level geometry? As you go out on the spokes on a wheel, they get further apart. So how did they ever get back together to form clumps and stars like galaxies? See, the longer you wait after your Big Bang, the further apart they are, guys. Somebody's laughing at you for not understanding Geometry 101. The particles are not going to get back together. Clouds of dust do not get back together into solids, especially if they're escaping an explosion. If you throw a hand grenade and it explodes, how far out in the field does it take before the fragments find each other again? Never. Think about it for just a couple of minutes, okay? The various planets are thought to have formed from a solar nebula, the disc-shaped cloud of gas and dust left over from the sun's formation. The currently accepted method by which the planets formed is accretion, in which the planets began as dust grains in orbit around the central protostar. So the dust is circling the star, and the dust attracted each other into a planet. This is downloaded a half hour ago. This is what they're teaching. Star formation. Stars form inside relatively dense concentrations of interstellar gas and dust, known as molecular clouds. These regions are extremely cold, temperature 10 to 20 degrees Kelvin. Well, that is chilly, don't lick that. Okay, just above absolute zero. Star formation begins when the denser parts of the cloud core collapse under their own weight or gravity. Do you really believe such a thing? A cloud is going to collapse because of its own gravity.
This is how the sun and stars.
This is how the stars formed, right? Oh, University of Oregon is teaching this stuff. Now, I know the left coast have some people that believe some pretty dumb stuff. This is way out there near the fringe, guys. If you believe a cloud of dust is going to form a star, you got suckered. How about galaxies? How do they form? Galaxies were born when vast clouds of dust and gas collapsed under their own gravitational pull. First place, these fragments of dust are going to be getting further apart. They're not going to be in a cloud. Secondly, clouds don't make solids. Clouds disperse, don't they? The theory is dumb at so many levels. You got to just, how can grown men, and they laugh at my degree because it's from a non-accredited school. If you went to an accredited school and got an accredited PhD and believe a T-Rex turned into a chicken and a one-dimensional dot of nothing exploded and made a cloud which formed into a hard rocky planet which was molten rock, and then the rock cooled down and it rained on the rocks for millions of years and turned them into soup, and the soup came alive 3 billion years ago, and that first life form found somebody to marry and slowly evolved into everything today. If you believe that, I don't respect your degree very much either, but let's avoid that topic. Let's just stick with this topic at hand. Evolution is stupid at multiple levels. Is there a kinder word I could use for it? That's just the most appropriate. Ignorant. Okay, ignorant. Anyway. If I see a car in Pensacola headed east on Interstate 10 at 70 miles an hour, by the way, if you're going 70 miles an hour on Interstate 10, you will get run over. Right? I was in Germany on the Autobahn going back to the airport. They're taking me over there, and we were in the church van taking me back there. We were going 100 miles an hour on the Autobahn, and the cars were passing us so fast, I was terrified. Anybody, you've been on the Autobahn? It's unbelievable, isn't it? It's just incredible. Like, we're going 100. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Okay. But if a car is going 70 miles an hour toward the east, that's this way for you geographically challenged folks. If I see a car going 70 miles an hour east, does that prove he started in Los Angeles 30 hours ago? No. The road goes to Los Angeles. I don't know that the car started there. See, I don't know where he started, okay? They might have just gotten on at the last exit, right? So if I see a star receding, end of story, that's the only real evidence. The star is giving a red shift, okay? I agree with that evidence. Now what's your interpretation of that? Almost all the stars and galaxies are giving a red shift, okay? What's your interpretation of that? Well, obviously it was all in one little dot. No, that's not the logical conclusion. God claimed in his word that he made the earth first, and then he made the stars, and then he stretched them out. Couldn't that exact same evidence be interpreted to say this book's right? I'm not saying I can prove it's right, but the evidence certainly doesn't prove it's wrong. Why would God 17 times say he stretched out the heavens? So researchers have slowed light down to a dead stop in 2001. This could help realize what are now theoretical concepts for vastly increasing the speed of computers. Steve, you work on computers all your life. Can you imagine if they had faster than the speed of light? To be able for computers to do it? Man.
It's called a superconductor, and they haven't found it.
Haven't got it yet. Superconductor. I don't need mine any faster. I need mine to slow down so I can keep up with it, okay? Like, I'm still trying to figure out what an app is. Anyway.
I need mine faster.
You need yours faster, yes. They changed all kinds of things. I was gone for nearly 9 years to prison. I couldn't believe the changes when I got back. They brought the outhouse into the building and put the flush thing on there. That's pretty cool. But 2 independent teams of physicists have achieved the result. One led by Dr. Lenave, somebody of Harvard, and somebody else at Smithsonian, and also Cambridge. We have succeeded in holding a light pulse still. Did you find that video clip and put it in? Put it in.
We didn't get it in there.
Put it in for tonight's. There's dozens of them on there. They have one called a trillion frames per second, where they show a water bottle. The light, you can actually see a pulse of light hit the water bottle, travel through the bottle, and come out the bottle cap. It's cool. They didn't slow light down. They speeded up the pictures. So we can see it. It looks like it is slowed down. Believe me, they didn't slow it down. But scientists have claimed they have broken the ultimate speed barrier, the speed of light. They speeded light up to 300 times the speed of light. Whoa. Clear back in '87, they said during the last 300 years, they've measured the speed of light 164 times. It's not that hard to do. I did it in physics class in the hallway with rotating mirrors and a laser. Measure the speed of light bouncing down the hallway and back. Got pretty close to the right number. In high school physics. Okay. The speed of light has apparently decreased so rapidly experimental air cannot explain it. Scientists slow down the speed of light traveling through the air, 2015. Scientists mess with the speed of light, 2005. Researchers in Switzerland have succeeded in breaking the cosmic speed limit of getting light to go faster than light. So here's some things to consider about the redshift and about starlight in general. Those of you who would like to believe the Earth is billions of years old so you can have your imagination of a dot turning into everything, I know you love that idea because it leaves God out. I understand. I understand why you want to believe that. Here's some things to consider. You cannot measure the great distances beyond 100 light years or so. We covered that the other night. So if they say that star is 13.7 billion light years away, stop right there. How did you measure that? By the color of the light? You didn't use trigonometry on it, that's for sure. Nobody knows what light is. No, what is light? Give me a jar of it and paint it red. What on earth is light? Nobody knows what it is. We know what it does. We can do lots of things with it. We don't know what it is. Nobody knows what gravity is. Yeah, it's an attraction of particles. That doesn't, attraction of masses. That doesn't tell you what it is. Give me a jar of gravity, paint it red. Nobody knows what light is. We don't know it's always traveled the same speed through time, space, and matter. The creation was finished and mature when God made it. Jesus made wine out of grapes that never existed, aged in time that never was. Adam and Eve were full grown the day he made them. Our trees already had fruit on them. It has to be a mature creation. It's not going to work any other way. A light year is a distance. It is not a time. The speed of light is not proven to be consistent. They can speed it up and slow it down. Why would star distance have anything to do with the age of the Earth? If they see a red shift and say, based on that, we can tell you the distance to that star. I don't think they can, but if they could. So, what does the distance to the star have to do with the age of the star?
Unless you assume it began here.
Unless you assume the speed of light's always been constant. Nothing's been affecting it all this time. You cannot know those things. The redshift only shows that nearly all stars are moving away from the Earth. That's what it shows. I think that's probably correct. You would probably also get a redshift if instead of moving away straight, it was moving off at an angle. I don't know how you could tell that, which it is, but I think there certainly is a redshift and there's something to this. But they're giving the wrong interpretation. They're trying to get people away from believing God's word using light. And Jesus said, I'm the light of the world. In Isaiah 65, God said, I create a new heavens and a new earth. Isaiah 66, the new heavens and the new earth, which I will make. Everything we're seeing is falling apart. Everything's going to pass away. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away, Jesus said. 2 Peter 3, the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in the which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise. There's your big bang, fellas. Comes at the end, not at the beginning. And the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned up. Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, Peter says, hey, guys, since everything's going to be burned up, what manner of persons ought you to be? That's a great question. How should you live knowing it's all going to burn? It's all going to burn. There's a saying from years ago, when the house is burning to the ground, it's not the time to stand around arranging all the pictures on the wall. Right? And there's a whole lot of people spending their whole life arranging pictures on the wall, building sandcastles at low tide. What are you going to invest your life in? It's all going to be burned up. Twice in my life, I came to those crisis points. General Motors, I was about to graduate from college, and they came to me and said, Kent, we like your work. We'd like you to go to foreman school. We'll start you off at $350 a week. That was in 1974. That was a lot of money. My pastor called when I got home that night. He said, Brother Hovind, I'd like you to come back and be my assistant pastor. We can pay you $100 a week. Said, I'll be there. I want to serve God. I don't want to build trucks. All those trucks I built, just like our dump truck out here. 1972, 73, and 74. How many of those are still on the road? Not too many. Most of them in a junkyard someplace. I don't want to invest my life in something that's going to turn to junk. It's going to be burned up. Caterpillar Tractor Company. My dad pulled a few strings. He was a big wig there at Caterpillar Tractor Company in Peoria, Illinois. He said, son, go in and apply for a job. You can get on there. I went in, went through the application process, did the whole thing. They said, go down the hallway, go to the last door on the right, pick up your glasses, your time card, sign the last paper. See you Monday. I walked right past that last door, walked out into my car and sat there and cried like a baby. I said, Lord, I don't want to build bulldozers. I don't want to build trucks. I want to win souls. I want to serve you. This is not what I want. I don't want to invest my life and time and money and stuff that's going to burn. I don't know what's important to you. But for 50 years now, I've been doing the best I know how to do to try to find something to influence people for God. Produce videotapes, produce YouTube, whatever YouTube is. Just preach the truth. Try to influence somebody for God. What are you investing in? Something that's going to burn up? You know how much Howard Hughes left behind when he died? All of that. Yeah, and all his descendants are fighting over it. Okay.
Wasting it.
And wasting it. Looking for and hastening unto the coming of the day of God, wherein the heavens shall be, being on fire, shall be dissolved. All this stuff's going to be dissolved. And the elements shall melt with fervent heat. Nevertheless, we, according to his promise, look for new heavens and new earth. That's what I want to invest in. Wherein dwelleth righteousness. Revelation chapter 6. And I beheld when he opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood. This phrase about the sun and the moon turning to blood is found 10 times in the Bible. If you get my timeline, my chart, the timeline of, this is the big one. I should have a small one here. Okay. And you see that? Okay. There we go. There. The sun and the moon go dark. All 10 verses. It's up too high. You can't read it. If you get the chart. There are 10 times where the Bible says the sun and the moon are going to be darkened. That's called the day of Christ. Now, the day of Christ is one day. After that comes a 1,000-year period called the day of the Lord. I think I got most of it on there, Steve, don't I?
Yeah, but you're not on there.
I'm not on there. That's probably a good thing. Sell more tapes that way. Okay. This sun and the moon going dark that's what we want to watch for, folks. It's coming. I don't know when, but at the end of the 7-year tribulation time, when he opens the sixth seal, the sun and the moon go dark, and the stars of heaven fell unto the earth. And Satan has been using God's own creatures and God's own creation, the stars, to turn people away from God. Some people look at the stars and think, oh wow, look, they're billions of years old. The Bible's no good. I'm not going to give my heart to the Lord. Satan loves to use God's own creatures and God's own creation to turn people away. And if he has used this Starlight, Redshift kind of stuff to turn you away from believing the book, you've been fooled. Nothing in astronomy violates what this book says. It was all created in 6 days, about 6,000 years ago. Stars of heaven fell to the earth, even as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind. And the heaven departed as a scroll when it's rolled together. I don't understand that one at all. God's going to take our time-space fabric, I guess, and roll it up, start a whole new dimension called eternity, which doesn't fit in my brain. And every mountain and island were moved out of their places, and the kings of the earth, the great men, the rich men, the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman and every free man hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. First mention of wrath in the book of Revelation. See, up to this point, it's tribulation. There's going to be a rough time, and we're going to be here. I used to believe we get raptured out before the tribulation. Not true. In my book, What on Earth is About to Happen, I cover this in great detail, including all 10 references to the sun and the moon going dark. But there's a smaller version of that chart back in the back here. But you can see when there are 6 seals that are broken, or 5 seals that are broken before this 6th seal. Let me back up here. Right. When he opened the 6th seal, this is where the rapture takes place. We're caught out of here when he opens the 6th seal. If you want to see what we're going to have to endure, read the first 11 verses of Revelation chapter 6. It's going to be famine. It's going to be hard to feed your family. We're headed for a real problem, and we're going to be here for that time of tribulation. I'm sorry. For 40 years, I believed and said, oh, we get raptured out before the tribulation. And there's a dozen songs in our songbooks right back there. It could happen in a moment, in a twinkling of an eye. It's just not true. Boy, I wish it was. We're going to be here, folks. Anyway, heaven shall be departed as a scroll, and for the great day of his wrath is come. It's coming. Anytime I tell pastor friends of mine, say, we're going to get raptured out after the tribulation, they say, oh, no. The Bible says we're not appointed unto wrath. I said, yep, exactly right. You're confusing tribulation and wrath. Tribulation is what the world does to us. Jesus said, John 16, in the world ye shall have tribulation. But he said, my children are not appointed unto wrath.
Fifth seal tells us what happens to us.
This is where we get out, just before this wrath comes. 6th seal, the sun and the moon go dark. It's mentioned every single, the second coming is mentioned every single chapter in 1 Thessalonians, 2 Thessalonians. We cover all that in the book. Anyway, don't let them teach you that this redshift is somehow evidence that the Bible is wrong and the universe is billions of years old. It's simply the Doppler effect of the star moving. The starlight does not prove they're billions of light years away. The redshift does not prove they're billions of light years away. They could be billions of light years away and still be 6,000 years old. Because it says God stretched out the heavens 17 times. I think he's trying to get a message across. And for you folks who believe a T-Rex turned to a chicken and you started in a dot of nothing and exploded into a hot ball of rock and turned to soup and the soup came alive, we're here to help. Give me a call. I can unbrainwash you from all of that stuff. Just call 855-BIG-DINO, extension 3, or get my videos. I don't have them here on the table. But the whole series, 18 hours, only $50. And you can watch it and even make copies of it and then return it and get your money back. You can't beat a deal like that. If you can, let me know. I'd like to see that. I've been doing that for the whole time I've been doing this, 30 years. That's our policy. So we really want to win souls. Now, if you're busy investing your life and time and energy and money in things that are all going to burn, let me give you a suggestion. Why don't you quit? Why don't you find some ministry to invest in and say, hey, they're winning souls. I'll help them. Or else go do it yourself. A guy called me driving back up here from Pensacola. He said, Brother Hovind, I want to start a ministry and do something like you're doing. I said, great. I wish we had 1,000 more. He said, how did you get started? I said, did you go to public high school? He said, well, yeah. I said, did they ever have fights in the hallway? He said, yeah, all the time. He's in Dallas. I said, what happens when they holler, fight, fight? What's the next thing that happens? Everybody comes running to watch, don't they? You want to start a ministry? Start a fight. Everybody will come watch. I moved to Pensacola, been there a couple of days, and the neighbor kid said, hey, would you like me to, I throw the newspaper, would you like to take the paper? I said, no, I don't have a parakeet. So every once in a while you throw one in the yard, and I'd only been in town a couple of weeks, and an article was in the paper that said dinosaur bones found in Montana from 80 million years ago or something like that. And it just hit me, somebody ought to fix this. So I wrote my first ever letter to the editor, Pensacola News Journal. And I said, these dinosaur bones are not 80 million years old. These are ones that drowned in the flood in the days of Noah. The Earth's only 6,000 years old. Dinosaurs always lived with man. And they published my letter and started a war in Pensacola. And it's still going 30 years later. Loving it. Join me. You want to start a ministry? Start teaching the truth. Start picking on this dumb evolution religion. You'll start a ministry. It won't be hard at all. All right, any questions out of this group? Redshift, Starlight? That's their main reason for saying the universe is 13.772 or now 11.2 billion years old. Starlight and Redshift. Both, I think, really, really weak evidence. God's Word said, did it in 6 days. I believe that. See you tomorrow. Bye.